All right, here we go. Hello. I am super duper honored to have an international guest in my show today. So, welcome everyone back to the Soul Glow Veda podcast. I'm your host. I'm Claudia Huber, and today I am here with Heathar Shephard. Um, Hi, Heather.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes. I mean, I invited you because of, obviously there's a reason why I want to talk to you. And I think you're just a really, not only very inspirational person, but also really a person I loved to learn from in the past year. And so I, I did your course, Wild and Fed, which was a really fantastic course on nutrition and really seeing nutrition from a completely different angle and like not the mainstream angle. And so um, I enjoyed learning from you, and I was totally blown away by your approach. And
Mm,
actually, what really drew me and why I was like, well, this woman is different and I want to learn from her,
mm.
it was because you have a farm. That was like the main reason. Like she knows what she's talking about. She's actually, she's right there at the front. So she's working with what we're eating, and so that was really for me the main. Actually, that was really one of the that really interested me. And what I've learned so far was, as I said, mind blowing. So we're going to talk about that in this podcast today. And
Right.
now I want you to just give our listeners a little like brief introduction. Like, where are you coming from? Who are you? Can you have a like a really wide background and obviously a lot of knowledge, and you've studied a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's yeah.
Cool.
Tell us
Yeah.
about it.
All right. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Um,
Mhm.
I'm Heather Shepherd, for those of you who don't know me. And gosh, let's see. Well, I grew up on a farm and in a very, I guess maybe y'all would refer to it as the countryside or very rural um, place in upstate New York. So I grew up there on a farm. But then when I left and went off to college and university, I said, well, that was really, who wants to do that? That's boring. Like, let's do something really important in the world and let's study, I don't know, finance or something. It's just like something like, right? Um, but anyway, so um, I went to college and I was very athletic and played basketball and after college I ended up training professional athletes for a while, but then one morning on my way to work I lost control of my car. I still have no idea. It was an act of God, whatever happened, and hit a telephone pole and got a really bad concussion, traumatic brain injury. And so since then, it basically forced me to quit my job because I couldn't be as physically active due to the brain injury. So that event changed the trajectory of my life in a massive way, and took me from the athlete world into healing. And it took many years to unfold what that looked like and to figure out what was helpful and what was nonsense. So it led me to learn how to use the sun in a healing way, um, how to use homeopathy, how to use food and nutrition in a healing way. And that took a good decade to kind of get some sort of an idea of how to use that, and
Mhm.
um, and led me to a private practice that I've been doing for almost 20 years now, helping people heal using mostly food, but homeopathy also. And now I have a farm also. And so when I this also helped me wake up and be like, oh wait, this is actually a really really important part of life. And so, yes, my wife and I live on a farm in New Mexico, and we have dairy cows, and we'll soon have dairy sheep to milk. And we have far too many chickens. And so, yeah, that's a little about me.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
fun. It seems like you went full circle with the farm.
Full circle.
Yeah, you started there and then now you're back
Yeah.
there.
And I'm like, oh wait, yeah, we should be doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's good. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, you have studied nutrition, homeopathy, so like all alternative medicine, and I mean, I don't consider nutrition as alternative medicine, but
Yeah.
it's kind of is. It's
Yes.
not. It kind of
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
so I'm coming from like an Ayurvedic background where we really see, and we say everything starts in the gut and, food is your medicine. And actually, if, your food is not right, then nothing else can help you, right? So,
Yes.
um,
Yes. Yes.
so
Agree.
I think food is an important and unfortunately also a very complex and
Oh man.
crazy topic. Oh man, right? It's like
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
it's
Yeah.
like when are we ever going to figure out what food to eat and and what not? And
Yeah.
does it ever end? And I
Yeah.
think there's for me, and this is also what drew me to your work, also this like sort of healing aspect in a way of like, well, I kind of want to quit all the bullshit and
Yeah.
just do real things and yeah and also don't get like torn into all these different directions that they're telling you to do this
Yeah.
is right and this is not right and then this is and then the next minute they're saying this is right and then
Right.
it's not right and
Yeah.
so that was really really for me really healing and also at the same time um your concepts were also mind-blowing in a way.
Good.
Hmm.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Um,
Good. Yeah.
so the journey never ends to figure out
It's true.
this whole food thing. But
Yeah.
let's maybe start from the beginning. So
Okay.
um,
Yes.
because the listeners probably don't know what I mean with with all of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would you say is your specific approach to nutrition?
Mm. Oh, that's a good question. Wow. Okay. So,
It was like in one sentence. No.
one sentence. Okay. Let's see.
No, no,
Um,
no, no, all the
oh,
way.
okay. That was good. That was going to be a hard one.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think that the easiest way to initially think about it, or how I like to think about it anyway, is what's the most like if you're gonna go fill your car up with gasoline or fuel, right? It's like you want to put the best. What is that car made for? What's the best fuel to put in it? And so I like to think about that for humans as well because we need fuel and we've made it so complex and because there's a lot of things trending for maybe the past decade now with low carb, and carbs are bad and sugar causes cancer and all and that's been over a decade. That's been for decades.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, but when you look at what our cells actually use, what the optimal fuel is, it's not those things. It's not the low carb way. Our cells need glucose. Our cells need quick burning energy to be efficient, and and everything basically in our modern food system, but also in the health, what's being promoted in the health nutrition side is not what our bodies function most optimally off of. And believe me, I was low. This kind of during my healing journey, I was like, oh, I should do that. I should go low carb. That sounds like a good idea.
Mhm.
And initially, you do experience some benefit, but then it starts to tip, because the fuel you burn off of those diets is not an efficient type of fuel. And we can talk more about that. But so I think if I'd say my approach would be to get the body initially burning the type of fuel that it functions most optimally with, which is glucose.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
the number one.
Or yeah. Yeah.
That's like number one.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, and so yes, I'm not sure where you want to go from there, but that's like,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think just saying that, probably a lot of people
Yeah.
are gonna be like, what, glucose?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
No, wait. So anybody who's still listening right now, believe me, when I started to realize this, it's just basic physiology. It's like I didn't make it up. The body made it up. It's like that's what the body wants. That's what it does most efficiently. It works most efficiently with. And the type of, fuel does matter. There are different ways to get glucose in, which we talk about on Wild Fed, and how we don't, there's certain places to start with that. Not all glucose actually is created equally, especially when it gets to the gut. But our cells produce a lot more energy, and more rapid energy than it does when you restrict carbs, when you restrict, these foods that are rich in carbohydrates. So I think that's a really that will probably be a little mind blowing because of how popular low carb is and carnivore is right now.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
It is.
yeah,
I mean, it is more so for those of you, I don't know who's going to listen to this podcast. We never know. So there might be people from the States, there might be people from Germany, there might be
yeah,
people from all over the world. I
yeah,
think actually in Germany or in Europe, I would say we're not, I mean, there is like a keto trend, of
yeah,
course, and
yeah,
in Wellness Scene, but it's
yeah.
even more in the States.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
of course, we're always like behind, and then we're doing what you guys are doing like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Um, and of course,
Don't do what we do, probably.
yeah, it's just stupid.
But okay.
Even though it wasn't good, like we're still
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah,
But um, as you said, I mean, there is, to all of these food trends, there is obviously some kind of like good thing about each of them,
sure.
and
Yeah, right.
sure, right? But then, of course, do they work as like a way of like sustainable living? Like, do they work in a way of like you can live on that and eat like
Yeah,
that forever?
yeah.
No, probably not. They
Yeah,
just
no,
work
that's a good point.
place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the longer you're on some sort of diet trend, and so it doesn't have to be low carb. It could be like long periods of fasting, or it can be calorie restriction, or any of the fad diets or popularized diets. What
Yeah.
they're likely going to do is your body will still make glucose for energy, but it will do it in a really inefficient way. And it will do it by increasing your stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, lactic acid. And so then you'll feel like, initially, especially, you'll feel juiced because you're running off of stress hormones. So you'll be like, oh, I have all this energy. I can do all these things. I'm losing weight. And that's initially usually what happens and what it looks like. And then that becomes really stressful on the body, because it's the body's backup energy system. It's not it's not the number one go-to preference. It's not an efficient way to make energy. It's really damaging to the thyroid, to the bones. I mean, on the liver. It's really hard on the body. So, so eventually you'll get to a place where you're like, oh shit, something happened. What did I do wrong? I'm not feeling well anymore. I'm not having good bowel movements and I'm not sleeping well and my energy is, where'd that go? And so eventually, with all of these approaches, you will likely feel better initially, but
Mhm.
then you get to a point where your body can't sustain it and it starts going in a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say, like, even with intermittent fasting, because that's sort of also a food
Yeah.
trend,
Yeah.
and for like I was on it and off it, and I see
Yeah.
it for my clients a lot.
Yeah.
I work with women and hormones,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see that, it works for a certain period of time, and then it's like exactly what you were just describing that
Yeah.
happens to them, right? So they enter a
Yes.
plateau and then they stay there, right? And so
Yeah.
would you say that for this trend as well? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Fasting is there's a lot of things that happen with fasting. One, your body goes into the stress metabolism of adrenaline, cortisol. And so
right.
initially you're like, "Oh, I have energy," because you're running off of cortisol and it's kind of like a drug of. But then also during fasting what happens is the initial weight loss is from water weight and muscle atrophy because that backup energy system of adrenaline and cortisol pulls on your muscles, and then eventually if you keep going long enough it'll pull on your bones and it'll pull nutrients from there in order to make glucose to keep you going.
Mhm.
So you may like, oh, I'm losing weight. It's water weight, and you're losing muscle. Your muscles are atrophying.
Mhm.
So it may look good like in the mirror or on paper or in your however your genes fit you. It might look good for a little while, but it's really damaging to your body and to your system.
Mhm.
And and long-term fasting also it tends to elevate estrogen levels. So that was actually really seen in people who were like put in starvation camps, and they didn't have access to food, they weren't being fed, and then when they left the starvation camps and they went and got lab work and they were put on diets to help them gain weight, their estrogen levels were through the roof. And that's a big area that I feel there's a lot of misconceptions around estrogen, and women think they need more estrogen, and literally nobody needs any more estrogen. It's progesterone that we need more, and we can talk about that if you'd like. But when you do long periods of fasting, your estrogen levels will go up as well, and that's a big. We don't want to do that. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible, um, because it
Yeah.
will really stress the liver. Your liver won't be able to convert thyroid hormone, um, and then there's a lot of estrogen dominance has a lot of negative side effects, as I'm sure everyone is aware. But those are some of the reasons why I'm really like, no, don't. Fasting actually is just for like wartime, starvation time to get your body through it. You'll be on cortisol and adrenaline, and so that's actually not a way of health. It's just a way of survival,
Right.
if that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I'm now really interested in that because I'm also a hormone coach. So
Yeah,
I've been told that actually long fasting reduces estrogen, or
yeah,
that's for me, that totally made sense because of the cortisol response that goes up. So, and cortisol going up actually would reduce estrogen and, of course, progesterone as well. But
uh-huh.
how would it go up? How would that work with
Okay.
the the
So,
that's just
so
nerding out, so
oh, good.
not
I love it.
everyone needs
Great question.
that.
Um, okay, so one of the main things is that when your body doesn't have a regular supply of glucose,
Mhm.
your thyroid won't work. So your liver won't convert thyroid hormone T4 to T3. That won't happen. It will likely convert it T4 to reverse T3, which is the cortisol stress production. It'll reroute it to reverse T3.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody does lab work and you're like, what's my thyroid like? Make sure they test your reverse T3. And they'll be like, why do you want to test that? And you'll be like, because I want to test it. So just tell them, they'll be like, that's, who told you to do that? I just tell everyone, say my wife or my partner told me to test it. And they're like, oh, okay. So, so just whatever. But no, so your body will stop converting thyroid hormone, and it will convert it to reverse T3, which is the cortisol stress pathway. And so when your body isn't producing active thyroid hormone, estrogen levels build in the liver. They're not able to be detoxed efficiently from the liver. And the liver is one of the main areas. It attaches bile to help remove the estrogen, or it sends it to the kidneys and makes it water soluble. But also, if you're not having enough, if your thyroid's low, you're not going to be producing enough HCl stomach acid or digestive enzymes, and then you're not going to have enough bile anyway to remove estrogen. Bile is really huge for estrogen. This is why I'm really not a big fan of gallbladder removal, and it's it's usually unnecessary. There's usually a lot of other things you can do, to, if you are having gallstones or attacks. But it's super important for estrogen. But one of the things, to get back to your question, is that it shuts down the thyroid when you're not getting enough glucose in, and so when that happens, it stops. It builds estrogen production.
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, I can see it now because of because of the liver and the gut connection, and that makes
Yes.
totally.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, that makes total sense, and I do want to talk about the thing, like the estrogen thing and the progesterone thing and the
Yes.
thyroid. So
Great.
as well, I think it's three different things, and then they're all going together, of course. But
Totally.
I think every woman, over 45,
Yeah. Yeah.
or and then later over 50 when they have entered menopause,
Yes.
is told okay, you have to take estrogen, right? Because now
Yes.
you don't make any estrogen anymore. You're,
Yeah.
ovary down, so
Yeah.
you need to take estrogen. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, we're in that era where everyone gets told to take estrogen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, progesterone as well.
Yeah.
So progesterone, being a sex hormone,
Yeah.
as well as estrogen, is depleting already from the age of, I think, 35, around
Yeah.
35, progesterone levels deplete.
Yeah.
And progesterone, at least I see that in almost every woman I work with.
Yes.
35
Yeah.
has low or even too low progesterone levels. So because of the relationship with the cortisol, right? So cortisol goes up.
Yeah.
High cortisol often relates to low progesterone levels. So high
Yes.
stress, low progesterone.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So maybe we are, I think a lot of people agree, okay, progesterone, that's the thing. We know we
Yeah.
have to take that.
Yeah.
Estrogen, I think the trend is everyone has to take that as well.
Yeah.
That's what they are telling us now.
This is
After
good.
this is
Yeah.
the new thing, right? This is the new,
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay. I'll start by saying that nobody needs to take estrogen, and you shouldn't. You literally, and I'm not giving you medical advice, but I wouldn't touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole. That's number one, and we'll talk about why.
Yeah.
So your body, so about 2 weeks after you completely stop menstruating, you've entered menopause.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the body about 2 weeks to adjust, and then it starts actually producing estrogen again. And women in menopause and men, once women enter menopause, they produce about the same amount of estrogen as men. Okay. So it's like, we actually do produce estrogen after we stop menstruating. It takes about 2 weeks for the body to rebalance. What we don't produce anymore is progesterone, at least not from the ovaries. The brain has its source of progesterone. The skin is one of the biggest sources. But the ovaries, we're done producing progesterone when we stop menstruating. So if your estrogen is high, your progesterone cannot also be in a healthy place. They act oppositely. So progesterone keeps estrogen in check. When estrogen's high, progesterone is low. And most people who have quote unquote estrogen issues are usually low thyroid and or low progesterone. I have yet to ever see a case where that's not the case. And there's so many symptoms, and they all, there's even things like carpal tunnel that we've been told is working on a computer is related to like low progesterone and low thyroid. I mean, varicose veins, migraine headaches, bloating, insomnia, pain, arthritis, all of these things are low progesterone. And so, but women take estrogen, they're like, oh, I feel amazing. Let's go. Right. And it's because estrogen it's an excitatory hormone. And so your brain literally thinks it's almost similar to when you're on cocaine. Now, I don't know what that feels like, but I guess it would be pretty stimulating. So, when you get off of it, you're like, I don't think I want to do the HRT anymore. I don't think I want to do the estrogen. Let me see if my body can do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, I don't feel as good because they're not getting that hit from the estrogen. So then they go back on it. And then then they feel like, oh, I feel better. I feel like the number one benefit that women report is they feel mentally better. And that's why they have, it's because it's acting as a stimulant. So, so estrogen is a real, and we don't have to leave the guys out, I guess. So like back in the day, they used to initially treat prostate cancer with estrogen therapy. And then they saw then immediately the death rate from prostate cancer went through the roof. And so then everyone's like, oh my God, if you get prostate cancer, you're going to die. And it wasn't actually the prostate cancer that was killing them. It was the estrogen treatment they were getting. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, maybe we should change the treatment, but actually it's the backup treatment now. Today, they just chemically castrate men to treat prostate cancer. But prostate cancer is elevated estrogen and the testosterone is too low. So also in men, when estrogen's too high, testosterone is going to be lower. And so men are told that a prostate cancer, oh, your testosterone's too high, but that's not the case. I don't even know where they get that from. Where they get this shit is beyond me. So, so it pertains to both men and women. And so when the body has too much estrogen, your thyroid shuts down, you gain weight, especially in the abdomen and the chest. Your liver can't detox, and then your gut slows down. It's a really vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. So that's personally why I don't suggest to take estrogen.
Really?
So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. But progesterone, I prefer actually taking it orally versus a patch. Mm-hmm. The patch is usually not super effective, but mm-hmm. if you take and typically this isn't something you'll have to take forever. Oftentimes after you get the right dose, your body will course correct and start producing progesterone on its own, even if you're in menopause. The brain will start producing it and so forth. So it's usually not something you have to take long term, usually, if you get the right dose. How I suggest and learned how to take it is to start with 10 milligrams every 15 minutes until your symptoms improve. Let's say somebody has a migraine headache, you can, and you're like, oh, well, this is because you're low in progesterone. Not everyone with migraines is low in progesterone, but sometimes if you can connect the dots here, you give the progesterone, you're like, oh, well, now, okay, now on the fourth dose, my headache's gone. Usually they don't need any more progesterone until they experience some sort of stress. Then the body can,
Yeah.
they'll have
Okay.
to rebalance.
Wow.
Anyway, that's how I suggest my clients to take progesterone. But the only side effect of progesterone is you get like you're in anesthesia if you take too much, and so you just like keep an eye on them. If you feel like you're like getting numb or something, probably stop, and it'll clear up in like 30 minutes. But
Yeah. I mean, of course, with everything, if you take too much or if you get
yeah,
get out of balance with the things, then it has side effects, of course. And
yeah,
progesterone is the chill pill. I always call it the chill pill.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you have too much of like the chill, then you're too chilled, and then there's
yeah,
no stimulation, and yeah, what you were saying, like you're just sort of
yeah,
like gonna get up anymore. Um,
yeah,
I'm wondering. I think also like the way from what I'm hearing, and I've interviewed really a lot of people
yeah.
all from different countries, from Germany, from Austria, from Switzerland, and also now from the States, a few doctors. And I've learned from so many, so many practitioners and doctors. And it seems like there is, with the HRT or bioidentical HRT, like
Yeah.
however you call it, it seems like there's regional differences. Like there's in different countries, they have different methods, and
Uh-huh.
also different like yeah, actually really different methods. Like
Uh-huh.
in Germany, we like to take it orally versus even in like the neighbor country, which is very close to us, they
Yeah.
don't do estrogen orally. They do the creams.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this other school that teaches the progesterone orally, and this other school teaches the creams. And so it's like, yes, there's different approaches. And
Yeah.
so, of course, when it comes to like a really practical, like if you're a woman listening to this and you're like, huh, do I need it? Do I, whatever, do I need this?
Yeah.
Then it's, it is, I just have to say, like, you have to find a practitioner and like really find your way and the way that works for you. So that's always like my recommendation. Um,
100%.
but yeah, inform yourself and like listen to us and like really learn about estrogen and all the side effects that
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
and then and
Yes.
and then try a few things until you find your like perfect way. But I would, I think what is also, for the first time I heard that um, if you're a woman, like say, like usually if a woman over 45, they tell you the progesterone, you take it forever, right? Because now
Yeah.
you can't make it anymore. Like
Yeah.
there's no, it's not going to come from the heavens. Your body is not producing, like it's over, right? It's over. No way
Yeah.
you can make that shit. So
Yeah.
they're telling you you have to take it for the rest of your life, which is kind of like, really?
Yeah.
And to me, that never really made sense. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's very awkward to me to think about. I'm like half point of my life probably now. I am 45. Really,
Yeah.
do I have to take this for 45 years? That seems weird because
Yeah.
there's always the adaptations, right? And the receptor blockings, like when you take something, receptors start to block. So
Yeah.
I personally have learned that with everything you take, you have to take, like, you have to also do pauses and like do it and then get off of it. So
Yeah.
there's no blockages from those receptors. And um, but it's also good to know what you were saying that, and this is also not also a question. Would you say like even after 45, after 50, even after menopause, you don't
Mhm.
have to take it for the rest of your life? Is that what you were saying?
That's what I was saying. Yeah. As,
Cool.
but you have to um, work on your thyroid at the same time because they work very closely together, progesterone,
Yeah.
estrogen, thyroid hormone. So if you keep your thyroid in balance, yeah,
Yeah.
go
What
ahead.
about the thyroid? Let's talk about that because you
Yeah,
are just an expert on that, on the thyroid. And yeah, it is connected, and you cannot do one thing and not the other. So the
yeah,
thyroid, yeah.
yeah. If your progesterone's low, it's almost always your estrogen's too high and your thyroid's too low.
Mhm.
So honestly, I don't, if I think, if somebody comes into my practice and I sense they have low progesterone, I usually don't start there. I usually start with helping their thyroid because once the thyroid's functioning optimally, usually the body's progesterone production naturally improves. So if you're just going to throw progesterone into the mix, sometimes, especially women, can have um, um, an intense reaction to the progesterone. They feel wired. They feel like their heart's beating out of their chest. You see, these are very thyroid-like symptoms because they've sped their thyroid up um, in a way that by taking too much progesterone before fixing their thyroid. So
Mhm.
usually what I recommend first is to get your thyroid at least functioning better um, through diet. It's very helpful to do through diet. There's a lot of, it's like, it's not so complicated as people think. To get the thyroid, it may not be perfect, but to help it at least start functioning at a higher level, really pretty simple to do with diet. Okay.
Okay.
But so that's where I start because sometimes people have too intensive a reaction to just taking progesterone. Now, if you take
Mhm.
progesterone, you're like, well, I felt fine. I actually felt better. Then probably your thyroid's in a decent place.
Mhm. Okay. Well, let's go like two steps back and like maybe
Great.
tell the people about like the thyroid. It's
Okay.
obvious because maybe not everyone knows. I mean, we know, probably everyone knows it's like an important gland in the body, and it's adjusting the body temperature, and it's regulating and the metabolism and so many things in the body. But like, what would you say is the thyroid all about, and why is it um so debilitated in most women? I think
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
it
Yeah,
is a female
it is.
top
It
issue.
is. Yeah.
Why do women have that problem? Um and then we're going to talk about like what does it mean to fix the thyroid, like, you know
Okay.
um,
That's good.
because I can almost like hear people thinking, oh, then I'm going to have to take iodine or something,
Oh my gosh,
because
don't. No, no,
that's so. But let's
no.
one after another. So what's
Yeah,
the thyroid? Why is it so off, and how are we going to
yeah.
fix it? Like, what if
Okay, first of all, don't take iodine. It'll make your thyroid worse. Okay, just throw that in there. Okay, the thyroid is our main. Just think of like the thermostat in your house. It gets cold, you turn it up. It's too hot, you turn it down, and you turn on. Right? It regulates your body temperature,
Mhm.
and it regulates your body temperature through the rate at which your body burns fuel. So it turns your food into fuel, and how efficiently it does that determines your body temperature, your weight, your energy levels, your sleep, your bowel movements. Okay, so it literally has its hand in pretty much every single pot in the body. every single area it touches upon in some way, shape, or form. And it's the main metabolic, it's in charge of our metabolism, which is how we live and function, you know? So if the thyroid is off, you're not going to produce enough energy, you're not going to sleep well, you're not going to poop well, you're you're going to gain weight, or it's also a real misconception that only people who are overweight have a low thyroid. It does not have to be that way. I have plenty of people, especially women, who are significantly underweight and are significantly hypothyroid. So I really want to dissolve that myth, because most people, that's what they're taught, and that's what the doctors say. They'll never consider like a really underweight person to be hypothyroid, and that's unfortunate because they usually are very hypothyroid. Okay, so women tend to have more thyroid issues because of estrogen, because we tend to have more estrogen and the body needs an outlet to get rid of it. And if the estrogen levels are too high, like we've been talking about, the thyroid won't convert its hormone. So this is the main reason why women tend to have more low thyroid function than men. I see plenty of men with low thyroid, but women, much more high, the rate's much higher, often due to estrogen. Mm-hmm. I think everybody knows how I feel about estrogen at this point in time. So, so if your body temperature is low, even by a few like tenths, your metabolism will slow and your cells won't produce energy as efficiently. And the enzymes needed to convert food to energy, they need to be at a certain temperature in order to produce the energy. So when the body temperature is even off by a little bit, the thyroid starts to slow down because of that reason. Mm-hmm. This is why, we see one of the most common symptoms in hypothyroid is cold hands and feet, Raynaud's, I can never warm up, I'm always cold, or just any type of temperature issues. I can't sweat, or I sweat too much, or I get overheated easily, or all of these temperature regulation issues definitely tied into the thyroid.
And would you, because my brain just goes like, is night sweats and like, yes, the menopausal sweating, is that also related to the thyroid as well? I think.
Yes. And it's usually also, it's related to that for sure. And then it's usually related to the body got into too much cortisol production during the night because the eating was off at some point. And so your liver ran out of glycogen, it ran out of fuel to supply your brain and cells and so forth in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. And so then your body starts producing adrenaline. When you start producing adrenaline in your sleep, you'll feel so fucking hot. You'll be like, oh my God, like I can't fall asleep. I'm so hot. And cortisol kicks in, you start to sweat. And so, but when those two things happen, also the thyroid is shut down. So that's kind of like, it's very connected.
Yeah. And then yet when I see women and I'm sensing there might be a thyroid thing, they most often tell me, well, no, my thyroid is completely fine, right?
Oh,
because they're like, here's the lab, and the lab shows my thyroid is fine. So that's what I see really. That's a really common thing I see. I bet you too.
All the time. Yeah. All the time. The unfortunate thing is that how they test thyroid in the lab, like the lab test, the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, it's a horrific test for the thyroid. It's not even a good test. It's it's really a poor test, for determining thyroid function. If you really want to see your thyroid function on paper, you can test, you can also test vitamin D, LDL, total T4, total T3, reverse T3. Those things are going to give you a much clearer picture. They'll test free T3 and free T4, at least they do over here. Just don't even, just ignore that. It's actually it's incredibly useless. You'll have to tell them what to test because they won't test these things.
Yeah.
Now, let's just be real that the most effective way to test your thyroid is just take your temperature. You don't even need to go to the lab. You can do this at home. You take your temperature and your pulse rate several times throughout the day, and then you can see, oh, this is my temperature. Wow, that's a little bit low. Or this is my pulse. That's low, or that's too high. Because the thyroid is it literally produces your body temperature and your pulse rate. You can literally just buy an oral thermometer and figure it out on your own. It's way more accurate than a TSH test. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And maybe we can link, because I know you have a free thyroid, like you have that on your website, the free thyroid testing.
Yes.
And we can link that in the show notes for people who are interested and who want to do that. I've personally done it, and it brought me great insight into my well, and then also confusion. So that goes almost always along with, like, it's a thing on the healing journey. You get an insight and then you're confused, because of also all the things you have to then undo, or the concepts you've learned, or the things you learned so far, and the things you thought were right. That's just something I want to tell everybody all the time. Like, really, on a healing journey, you have to let go of so many things and really learn and let go of concepts. Most often, all the time. For me, like, I've been also learning and studying these things for over 20 years, and I still learn and learn to let go. And so, I did that test, did the testing, and learned that it was very interesting to test it in the morning, and then you have to test it in the morning, and then midday, and then 3 times a day. And it did show, like, there was variations. So that was really interesting. So it's a really good test.
Yeah. And if you're like, well, okay, how do I do that? You can go download the PDF on my site, Eat Heal Farm. Yeah, it's free. But also, how to interpret those things. So you want to test your basal metabolic temperature. Basal meaning you're completely at rest. So don't test it after you've gone for a walk or done a hike or like some sort of activity, or even after you've been in the sun. The sun will greatly increase your temperature. So do it at rest, do it after, make sure you haven't done all this activity and so forth. But you want to do it first thing in the morning before getting out of bed. And if you're menstruating, it will go up right before you menstruate. Okay. So it's usually not the best time to test. It's not going to get as accurate of a result. But what I find is even more accurate is you test before you eat a meal, and then test like 10 minutes after. If your temperature went down after you ate, that's not a good sign. That says you didn't have either enough carbs or enough protein with your meal to fuel your thyroid, to fuel your metabolism. Or if you went way too low, you're like, oh shit, I forgot to eat, or I'm out doing all these errands or something, and then your temperature will drop. It'll drop, but then we should see it increase after you eat. That is what we want to see. Now, when it doesn't do those things, that's when you might need a little bit of help refining your diet to help get your thyroid function up, which is very, very attainable with food for many people. Even I have even Hashimoto's clients who improve their thyroid just with food.
Yeah. So
Um,
let's talk about that. Yeah. So um, I so one of my approaches is when I work with people and clients, and I work on a food on a
mhm,
new protocol, and I don't even like to call it protocol because I hate protocols.
yes,
I want to
yes,
like
yes.
teach
I'm
them
like,
how to eat, right, and
yeah,
be healthy.
yeah,
So I sometimes think it's easier to um, just just put things in,
hmm
just put things in so that the
yeah,
bad just they fall out kind of like.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then it's not so much for people, oh, I have to like, oh, I have to really take this out and that out, and I love that, and I don't want to, like, it's not such a
yeah,
discipline
yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
I like to like put good things in. So from that kind of perspective, like, what would you say a few good things that most women need to put into their diet that they usually miss? And then we can talk about what to leave out.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, so there's a couple things that probably really should be in the diet. Um, One is dairy, the best kind of dairy that your body, the dairy your body does best with, whether it's from
Mhm,
a water buffalo, a cow, a goat, a sheep, doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's what your body does best with.
mhm,
That's the first thing, and we're all told all that. Oh, it's going to give me mucus and inflammation, and so that's a whole other
mhm,
thing. If it does, it's not the dairy typically, it's your thyroid and gut. So then we have to work on that to get you there. But
mhm,
if there is a type of dairy that you do well with, I would start there. And most people are too low in dairy. And
mhm,
it's like it's has so many bioavailable nutrients. The women especially are far too deficient in calcium because we've been feared out of eating dairy because it's going to cause cancer and make us inflamed and produce mucus, and we've been fed all the yeah, right,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, okay, so that's like exactly what you were talking about. You have to like unlearn things that you thought were, and then that dairy is probably one of those areas for most people.
Mhm,
Um, and then, really, initially, I wouldn't focus on such like complexy carbs like rice and potatoes and that sort of thing. I would get your body very quick fuel in the form of like fruit and orange juice, which
mhm,
probably you have stuff come up around that too. So, it's like, um, but those two foods they should be staples in the diet, especially in the initial phases of healing your thyroid. Now, I'm not saying to never eat potatoes and rice again. Those would be lovely to put in once your thyroid's improved and your gut and so forth. But
mhm,
personally, that's not where I start with people because they tend to be too hard. We want simple things for the gut to break down. Like, what does the gut have? What's the least amount of work I can put my gut through? Like, how little work can it do so it can utilize the nutrients and have energy to absorb, assimilate, and so forth.
mhm,
So those are two foods that I highly recommend starting with.
mhm. So my so yeah, of course, fruit is like what? 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 So I
Yeah,
have two brains. My Ayurveda brain goes like, okay, fruit
yeah,
is, we're told in Ayurveda, fruit is you eat it by
yeah,
yourself. Like you can't
yeah,
replace the fruit with something else
yeah,
because it needs different digestive enzymes than other foods.
yeah.
So in Ayurveda, you can eat fruit, but you just don't mix them with other
Okay.
foods. So
Uh huh.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's one thing I learned, and I think for me that makes sense, and my body likes it that way when I have fruit just by itself.
Great.
Um, but then also, like from this modern nutrition perspective, it's like fruit is gonna get your blood sugar up, and then never eat fruit again because it's so bad for your blood sugar.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
quantum biology space is like, well,
Yeah.
no, don't eat fruit because it's not your like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not from like
Your
it's
region.
not your
Yeah.
country, right? It's not your light code. So
Yeah.
it's for me too, because well,
Yeah.
I don't eat fruits. I don't eat tropical fruits. I
Yeah.
eat the fruits that grow here,
Great.
which is not very much. Which
Yeah.
is, right now there's apples and pears, and then of course in the
Yeah.
summertime we have all the berries and all the stuff, but
Yeah.
we don't have the bananas and the coconuts and the
Yeah.
mangoes. And so, what is like your take on that?
Oh man. Okay. So I think this is a good question. First of all, we have to treat this kind of like an emergency situation. If your
Mhm,
thyroid's low, nothing else is really going to function optimally until we course correct that.
mhm,
So initially, I don't give two shits if you're eating a banana and you live in Italy or wherever you live and there's no bananas, right? I really don't care. The first thing I care about is getting your thyroid functioning optimally, and I know that those foods are going to jumpstart the thyroid in a really efficient way.
mhm.
Have a glass of orange juice, and your thyroid's going to kick in real quick.
Wow.
I have women who have migraine headaches. They go and they have a glass of orange juice, and they're like, "Wait, I've been taking Panadol my whole life, and then I drank a glass of orange juice, and now my headache went away." And it's
Mhm,
because the thyroid's off, which affects the blood sugar and so forth. So initially, I don't care too much about that. Now, historically, we've had carbohydrates available to us no matter where we live all year round. It's just that we haven't had like the suppression and all the toxins and stuff in our bodies, and we were able to do much better with those things.
mhm.
So, because we've had so many antibiotics and other conventional therapies, our systems are much more compromised. And so, most people tend to not do so well with complex carbohydrates,
Mhm.
potatoes, grains, starchy things, typically. Now, there's a couple people who do okay, but if you take those out for a little while, like take them out for 2 weeks and then put them back in and see how you do. I don't see many people doing so well with those.
Yeah.
Um, I prefer. Oh, so anyway, it doesn't have to be like fresh fruit, although I really recommend that. But preserves, honey. If you really wanted to like stay local, what's sweet in your area?
Yeah, honey
So
is
honey,
yeah. Yeah.
everyone, yeah, right.
And
But
in Ayurveda, we always stew the apples. So apples is like a thing you have all year round, and you stew
yes,
them. And so I think
that's
that's also really great, right? Apple
yes,
with
yes,
spice.
yes.
And I have to say, which is really funny because the banana thing, it's like the banana is my only thing I
Yeah.
always eat. And like
Uh-huh.
I don't care that it's, from
Yeah.
whatever, where it comes from.
Yeah.
And I crave that banana. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
body just might need it, right? So
Yeah.
that's so interesting that you're saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you know, so and I'm a fan of fruit and honey because
mhm,
complex carbs, rice, grains, potatoes, it's a straight glucose shot, okay?
mhm,
Fruit and honey, you have 50% fructose and 50% glucose.
mhm,
That is much less stimulating to insulin production. So your body will release a lot more insulin on the complex carbs versus the fruits and the honeys, something with fructose and glucose combined.
mhm,
Which is also why I prefer those foods because it's less stressful on blood sugar.
mhm,
Some people can eat fruit alone. Like you have to, exactly what you said in the podcast. Everybody find your own way of what works for you. You works
mhm,
for you to eat fruit by yourself. Amazing. And then I have some clients who like have fruit by themselves and their blood sugar dips really low. So some people have to eat it with like cheese or a glass of milk or yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the key is that, see, most people crave sugar and they're like, oh my God, I just crave so much sugar. And then they feel bad about it and they beat themselves up. But your body's telling you something. You need carbs for your metabolism to function at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not telling you to go eat like croissants and pastries and scones all the day, but maybe like look at some healthier options to support your thyroid.
Mm.
Fruit, honey, you know, milk, sugar, you know, really
Yeah.
ideal sources. Yeah.
Those are great things, and those are really great things. And at the same time, I know people are going to be like, really? I
Yeah.
have to, like, what, the milk and the
Yeah.
orange juice, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like new concepts that
Yeah.
I think for most people.
Yeah.
But it is really, really great. And I would also say that with the grains and the complex carbs, that's something I think almost everyone agrees on that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Almost everyone, like modern science, nutritionists, even the Ayurveda, like we do agree on that. The complex carbs are kind of a thing, and you have to like really, you know, even especially with the thyroid, I think
Yeah.
they're really the thing you have to watch out for. So
Yeah.
that's really um,
Yeah.
what is so maybe like one last thing on the protein, because obviously that's also a hot topic. Do we need the protein as well? Is that important for thyroid health, and to what matter? And
Yeah.
um, yeah, what's
Um,
like, do we, you know?
yes. Yes. The protein. So if your body doesn't have enough protein, your liver will also not convert thyroid.
Mhm.
So and we want as bioavailable protein as possible. Things that, like the complex carb thing, like beans, legumes. This is your body's not going to take very much protein out of those sources. You
Mhm.
will much easily get protein from milk, dairy, even a meat, fish. Much those are sources of protein that I recommend.
Mhm.
Most people aren't eating enough bioavailable protein unless they're carnivore, but then they're not eating enough carbs. So then we've talked about that. But even if you are eating, like, you're not low carb, you're not carnivore, probably not getting enough protein in your diet, especially if your thyroid's low. So, you know, 80, I'm not sure how to convert this, but in grams, 80 grams,
No,
100
that's fine.
grams, okay, 80,
Yep.
100 grams, um, and not all meat either. So not beans, not all meat, because those are really high in phosphorus, which will deplete calcium, which that's the most abundant mineral in the body is calcium. So we really want to safeguard it. So this is also where the dairy comes into play, which I talk a lot about on Wild Fed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would really keep PUFAs out of the diet. I would really strongly suggest to reduce, if we're talking about something to take out of the diet, something that causes the estrogen to build, no matter what, if you're male, female, something that shuts down the thyroid and causes calcification issues, artery issues, are polyunsaturated fatty acids. All the
Mhm.
vegetable oils, nuts and seeds, and these sort of things, like chia seeds and hemp seeds and flax seeds, and these things we're taught are healthy, but really were just used to make clothing back in the day. Used to make paint. Soy was used to make paint. It was initially a freaking paint thinner. So,
Hmm.
but they're like, oh, we have too much of this. Let's just throw it in the diet. And so soy will shut down your thyroid really quick, especially
Mhm.
the non-fermented types.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's really, I always tell people to avoid soy as much as they can because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
usually, it's better to leave it out.
Oh my gosh, so much
Mm,
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting with what you were saying about the seeds because, yeah, obviously they have a very healthy reputation and everyone loves their seeds on their morning whatever porridge and or a
Yeah.
cereal, or
Yeah.
they love that
Yeah.
stuff, um, because we think it's healthy, and of
Yeah.
course it kind of tastes also nice then
It does.
when
Yeah.
then we use it. But it's interesting to know that these also contain PUFAs, so the unsaturated fatty acids.
Yeah.
That is really also interesting. I think most people don't even know that. So that's just interesting to know. And then to know um, that too much of those kind of foods are just um, bad for the cells, right? And for the cell metabolism. So like too many
Yes.
PUFAs in the diet and in the body
Yeah.
can just stop and shut down the metabolism processes in the cells.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot,
Exactly.
they do lots of things, but for the sake of
Yeah.
well,
Oh man,
um,
they're the if there's one thing you do from this podcast, take those out of your diet.
right.
If that's your one takeaway, do that.
Oh, yeah, do
If you
that.
go out to eat, I don't know how it is over there. If you go out to eat in the States, you're getting PUFAs like at every single course.
Yeah. No,
It's
that's
like,
the same here. That's the same here.
yeah,
Well, at least I think it's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, food industries are different, and we have, like our foods are not so, I mean, they are prepared and um, but they're not so they don't contain as many like added things to it
that's
as
good.
so that's good for us, right?
Yes.
And still most people they cook with sunflower oil, or they cook in restaurants, they don't care about
Nah, they just
using
whatever is
healthy
cheap.
oils,
Yeah,
right? They use whatever is cheap, and
yeah,
yeah, and they just give you that. And
yeah,
then so eating out is a thing, and I think that's also what I usually tell people is, um, if you know you're eating out a lot, you know you're getting a lot of those things in your diet. Even though
yeah.
you think you're eating healthy, you
Right.
can eat the same thing at home,
Yeah.
and it's a different story than eating the thing out, because at home you
Yes.
prepare it yourself, and then whatever, the ingredients,
Yes.
and you eat that the same thing out. It's
Yes.
probably cooked in some sunflower oil and
Yeah.
added a bunch of different other things that you don't want to eat. So so
Right.
just cooking meals yourself
Yeah.
is also a huge benefit and can help a lot um, you know, to just gain control over what you're putting into your body. So
Yeah.
it's
It's salad dressing? Just no.
yeah.
You know?
So yeah,
It's so
right.
bad.
That's a good one.
You know? You think you're
Yeah,
having a healthy salad and you go out and it's like just full of they'll call it olive oil, but it's like it's not.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not.
Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
used to just tell them, just give me olive oil, and then I was like, no, I don't
Yeah.
even want their olive oil. Like, can I bring mine?
Yeah.
Can
So
I?
honestly, sometimes I do.
Would, yeah. Well,
Honestly.
yeah, exactly. Because that's just, yeah, that's just, I don't want to have that either.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Salad dressings or sauces, like any
Oh
kind of,
man. Yeah.
they're like the worst because they add all the things in that as well. So
Yes.
I try to avoid that as well. Yeah. So maybe since we're coming to the end of this wonderful podcast,
Yeah.
um, we're now already giving them some sort of like little tips and recommendations and things to yeah, little things to take
Yeah.
away from here. Let's see if there's a few more things, like just little practical things that you can think of.
Mhm.
um, what would you say are, you know good ones to improve thyroid health. And we've talked a lot about nutrition,
Mhm.
but I know you also, you're also from, like, you have the quantum biology
Yeah.
perspective as well. So the sun is obviously
Yeah.
also a thing considered in
Yeah.
terms of um, thyroid health as well, like in all the hormone health. The sun is really important. So
Oh,
um,
yeah.
is what else? Like we can think of the sun, the circadian rhythms, or just a
Yeah.
few things. What do you think are one of the
I
things?
would not go too long between meals, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I would not fast. These are some things I would like initially like maybe consider. If your
Hmm.
body starts to be like, I'm hungry and you just ate, eat again, and you probably didn't eat correctly in your first meal. Now, it might look good on paper, but your body will tell you the truth. So
Hmm.
don't ignore your hunger signals, okay? And you know, because when you do and you push through that, you're going to put more stress on your thyroid. So learning how to nourish your body, you know, eventually you'll be able to go longer times, longer periods without eating. But especially initially when you're healing your thyroid, you may need to eat more frequently. You will. It's not even you might. You will. And that's okay. And especially women, we're told, oh, women should be super thin and not eat all the time, and it's really frowned upon, and like we shouldn't have big appetites, and we shouldn't be eating, you know, several times throughout the day, and it's total horseshit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say I don't know how that translates in German.
Yes, we totally understand that. That's
um, But I would listen to your body. Really listen to your body because it's going. You're craving sugar. Get the healthy sugars in, okay? And spend as much time outside as you can. Spend as much
mm,
time outside as you're able to, even if it's a few minutes, a few times a day. It really will be helpful for your thyroid, your vitamin D, your every aspect of your health for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Um, yeah, I think so many things, and I know like I want to go on and ask more, more things.
yeah,
Um, if there's one more thing,
yeah,
because since I have you here, I
yeah.
know also my listeners, they're active and sporty women.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to, and you have such a great expertise on, like, sports and
Uh-huh.
how to do it and how to not do it.
Yeah,
So I just want to, I know we're getting to the end of this, but briefly touch on that topic because it's also related to thyroid health. If you're overdoing your sports or your training,
yeah.
yeah. Can you just give us a little intro into like what to consider to to keep the thyroid healthy when it comes to training and sports? Yeah.
I started to have low thyroid when I was in my 20s from overtraining. And I didn't know that because I had no idea at the time what that was. I just, oh, I'm a little tired.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't realize that till far a lot later on. I was like, why don't, and then I started having less energy for workouts. So the thyroid, um, people with low thyroid have low energy usually, or they have like, oh, at this time of day they dip and they're done, forget anything else throughout the day, or they wake up and it takes them hours to be ready to go.
Hmm.
So the typically people with low thyroid, they have low energy either the whole day or at some point in the day they'll have a big dip. So
Hmm.
so working out really depletes the thyroid. So you like do not go into a workout under fueled. Like don't, oh, after I work out I'll eat. No, forget that. You eat before you go into your workout and you also eat after you work out. That's two things. Do not skip. Oh, you're like, oh, I just worked out. No, you should eat something. It doesn't have to be a 4-course meal. Literally a
Mm-hmm.
glass of milk and some fruit or yogurt or something like this. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can really, like, all these people who are considered like super healthy, like, okay, over here our athletes are like Lance Armstrong, the biker, and um, these really like hardcore athletes, they have blown their thyroid out. They have cancer, they have chronic fatigue, they have all of these mental health issues because they've totally thrown their metabolism off. Those are, and I see it in women all the time. Women should not be doing effing CrossFit, for God's sakes. No, you should not be doing CrossFit and like all these intense, like, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and I'm training for it. Please don't do that. Do something else that makes you feel good. Do something else that makes you feel good about yourself, because your thyroid's going to be so depleted from the training, and you will literally put yourself into a hypothyroid state by overtraining. It is, I see it all the time. I did it myself, and I've did it for so long. I'm still recovering. It's still recovering from that. So don't do that. Do, like, and I'm not saying to be sedentary. Go for walks. Do some strength training that's like, you're not like an Olympic athlete, right? Like, you're not like doing these hardcore things. Go
Yeah.
outside in nature and walk, right? It's like, that is far too depleting. And really, if you're already low thyroid and you're doing workouts like that, you're going to be more susceptible to injury. You're going to be enter a chronic fatigue state. You're gonna get to a point where, like, I need to work out more then, and it's like, no, you don't. So
Yeah.
I really, really am a big fan of not doing vigorous, intense exercise, especially women. It
Mm-hmm.
is way too, like, use your life force in other ways that are much more replenishing and energizing.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, I am an active woman. I like to train and
Yeah,
also been in sports myself.
yeah,
You know, not like an Olympic athlete, but of course I like to also challenge myself. But I also am there's a teaching in Ayurveda, and they say a woman has to sweat every day, and the sweat has to be on her forehead, and it has to be like 3 pearls, and
uh,
that's kind of the option
yeah,
that that is healthy, right? So that's the point to where, like, when if there's a little bit of sweat on your
yeah,
forehead, that's perfect. You kind
yeah,
of like, moved yourself along, and that's
yeah,
you had some fun. You moved your joints and whatever.
yes,
The bones and the muscles are stretched and strengthened. So
yeah.
that's all healthy. But like overdoing, that's just not healthy for
So,
females.
Zumba
Um,
class, no Zumba, ladies, no
oh,
Zumba.
no Zumba. Okay.
No, like, you go, what are these? You go on and you ride the bike and it's like what's the class? Spin class. No spin classes.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. The high rocks. We have high rocks
Yeah.
spinning. mm, Peloton.
Oh
That's
my
kind of
gosh. Yeah.
the same thing. Yeah,
That's
I
the whole
know.
thing. Because then you're on Wi-Fi and you're riding your bike. It's like, no.
That's fun, right? Well, yes. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Life is so funny and so crazy these days. Like mankind has just come up with such such crazy
We're
things to
really good at creating some really interesting things.
I
And,
know, yeah,
you
really
know,
creative.
it's a total myth that you can't, like, be a healthy weight and like have a really great walking program also. So, like, no. That's, you can. You don't have to do this like really hardcore stuff in order to feel good in your body and have a weight that you feel good about in your own body.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I am really like my my protocol, whatever you want to call it, is I go to the gym like 2 or 3 times a week, and I lift some weights,
Mm-hmm.
and I do yoga every day, and I
Mm-hmm.
walk, and I do other things like I bike and I run, but I do that very rarely, and
Yeah.
I really do that only when I'm in a in my cycle in a good state, and when I like when I recover afterwards, and
Yeah.
um, so I had to really relearn also a lot of things here
Yeah.
to really stay protective with my energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point, and I'm so glad we talked about that, even though
Yeah.
it's at the end.
Yeah.
And also the point where it's like, okay, eat before you train, eat after you train.
Yeah.
Also really important. Don't do like fasted workouts.
No.
Um, and I think recovery is probably also
It's huge.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your
So if
muscles feel
you're
sore,
overtrained,
yeah. Yeah.
so at
Yeah.
least do the recovery. So, because every now and then I have to go on a bike ride with my husband, and I
Yeah.
just enjoy that very much. So I do it, and
Right
then
on.
I have to really recover.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Take good care of your thyroid. Lots of orange juice after the bike ride to get you back on track.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so lovely. Is there one more thing like you want to just get out here and mention, or I mean, we have to tell everyone how they can find you. We're gonna put your links in the show notes so people know how to find you, and get also the thyroid testing
Good.
PDF you have on your website. Is there
Good.
anything else you want to?
Gosh, let's see. I would say don't listen to your thyroid test on paper. Listen to your body's symptoms and take the temperature and pulse rate. Don't listen to your doctor too much. Usually do the opposite of what they say. Um, and yeah, you can find me at eathealfarm.com, and I have a podcast also called Eat Heal Farm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. So
Yeah.
cool. Thank you very much, Heather. Well,
You bet.
maybe we'll come back one
Yeah.
one day,
Yeah. It'd be
because
great.
as I said, there's so much more we can talk about, and I really also just love to undo certain myths and
Yeah.
get to to the truth.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
and And I think, yeah, and I think you too. And you
Yeah.
have such a great approach to health, which
Oh,
is really inspiring. So thank you very much.
yeah. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. All right. See you.